We don't rock. We talk. Today's News Talk. TNT Radio.
Come on, we talk and rock. Our next guest is the GOP endorsed candidate for California District 30's congressional seat. He's from Glendale, California, the beautiful city of Glendale, California, where he's built his life and career. He's an ICU physician by trade. His fiscal conservatism and social moderation guide his perspectives on policy, aiming for balance and pragmatism over political extremes. And we love the sound of that. He stands firm against the influence of lobbyists, ditto on that. His mission, to reignite the civic spirit within California communities to encourage more regular people like you and me to get involved, to take part in shaping our future. Let's discuss his campaign right now with him, Dr. Alex Balekian. Welcome to State of the Nation. It's great to see you. Talk to us about what got you motivated to run and where your campaign stands right now.
Thank you. Thank you for having me, and kudos to getting the pronunciation of my last name correct on the first try. So Dr. Alex Balekian. So what got me interested in this? I've always had an interest in politics, but for one reason or another, being busy with life, with work, with family, just kind of put it on the back burner and just did my civic duty and voted. But for the past, I would say at least 12 years, possibly longer, we all here in California, my family, my neighbors, we've all noticed this gradual decline, and a lot of people are waiting for the perfect candidate, and we weren't finding it. So I said, I'm going to be that candidate, that middle of the road, moderate candidate that really embodies what my friends and neighbors have on their minds.
Well, that's good to hear. I wish you the best of luck. Alex, I really do. I mean, the California GOP, that's probably a pretty lonely place these days, I would think. I mean, California has gone so far to they're left of left. I mean, really. But, are you starting to see, and it sounds like you just kind of got fed up with local politics and said, you know what, I'm going to do my civic duty. I'm going to throw my hat into the ring because I don't like what I'm seeing. Is that kind of symptomatic of what's going on in California? I hear that large swaths of California are a lot more red than people would believe. But when you got to deal with LA, when you've got to deal with San Francisco, when you've got to deal with San Jose, and you got to deal with these very, very blue cities, it can color the entire state blue. Now, what are you getting? Obviously, you're running, so you feel good about it. But right. What are you getting from a man on the street type talk? What are people? What's the scuttlebutt in Cali these days?
So I'll address several points in that question. So first and foremost, California is a land of immigrants. I am the son of immigrants. My parents escaped the tumult of the Middle East to come over here. I have a large, family network of cousins, 14 of us. And Glendale is a very large Armenian immigrant population. And whether you're in other areas, whether you're Vietnamese or Chinese or Korean immigrant populations tend to keep to themselves, tend not to stick their necks out because they just want to fly under the radar. They've escaped whatever tumult it was in their home countries. They just want to be here. They want to be left alone. They want to work hard. They want a better life for their kids. And that's really all they want. So the immigrant value system, number one, home and family above all. Number two, educate the children. Number three, work hard, make something of yourself, leave a legacy for your family, for your community. Those are immigrant values, no matter which country you come from. And those have always been just under the surface. But because immigrants tend to be disengaged, keep to themselves, the loud voices, the vocal fringe minority, I like to say, those are the ones that have dominated the conversation and the votes. One of my mentors used to say, the world is run by people who show up. And immigrants with these traditional values tend not to show up because they're busy with their lives. So that said, I've always said that California is not a liberal state. California is a libertarian state. And there has always been this value system of rugged individualism, personal responsibility, and the only thing keeping you from being a raging success is how much work you're willing to put into it. So as far as getting in there and representing my brethren, my friends and neighbors, these sentiments have always been here. but there are certain issues. For example, the social justice taught in schools, how kids are being indoctrinated, not educated, that's really working people up to a fever pitch. And also now that there's no incumbent for the first time in 22 years for this seat, those are a couple of big reasons why I've decided to go into it. The movement of currents and the numbers are in my favor.
And it's worth mentioning that the incumbent seat was Adam Schiff, correct?
Mm-hmm.
So,
Correct.
Knowing what I know about him, I would think that a lot of your friends and neighbors are looking for a lot of specific changes that particular politician has ignored or even worked against in many cases, or worked for things that go against what you're talking about here, this core value system of home and family, community, and hard work, which is clearly under massive attack, particularly in California, New York, a few other states. Now, I'll take your comment on that after a brief headline. We got a headline inbound here, and when we come back, we'll pick up right there with your comments on that on State of the Nation at TNT.
TNT Radio News.
I have some exciting news.
For TNT, this is James O'Neill. Former President Donald Trump has made a resounding comeback. Trump won the Iowa caucus by a massive 30-point lead over the second-place candidate. Last week, 2 U.S. Navy SEALs were reported missing off Somalia's coast during a mission aimed at intercepting a ship believed to be transporting Iranian weapons to Yemen, controlled by the Houthi group. A tropical cyclone caused heavy flooding and at least one death in Mauritius on Monday, as cars were washed away by surges of water in the Indian Ocean island's capital city and elsewhere.
Globalist agendas, democratic rights at risk, corruption, propaganda. It never stops. For the news and views silenced by the mainstream media, by government and corporations, vote 1. TNT Radio. Free speech always has a home here. Stay up to date with the latest live news and current affairs, delivered by our lineup of expert commentators and hosts. Listen to TNT Radio anywhere you go. Ask Alexa or Google to play TNT Radio, or download the TNT Radio app for free from the App Store or Google Play. Today's News Talk. This is TNT Radio.
Alex for CA30 is the website. Get on over there and check it out. I've been spending time there this morning. He's got a great platform lined up over there and full articles on all of his platform issues that go to his Substack, which is a great setup, by the way, Alex. I really like that.
Thank you.
Alex, what do you think about what I was saying before that headline there? We're talking about Adam Schiff territory here, and you mentioned social justice indoctrination also. This could be a big change with someone like you in that seat, don't you think?
Yes, absolutely. I mean, you talked about Adam Schiff, so there are people who have been sour or have soured on Adam Schiff. There are the core Republicans who saw how he led the impeachment against Donald Trump on evidence that after the fact was found to be completely bogus and fabricated, but he just kept leaning into that lie, into those details. There are also the reports that, this was December 2019 and January 2020, and he was head of the House Intelligence Committee, and he was getting reports of this new respiratory virus coming out from China, but he did not want his impeachment hearings to be eclipsed. So the fact that he censored or suppressed some of that information, the intelligence information coming from China, just so he wouldn't be, sidestepped, that's also kind of what has caught people's ire. But also from the Armenian standpoint, this district is the largest Armenian population of any House district. 25% of the voters are Armenian, and they have been fiercely loyal to Adam Schiff. Why? Because he's been able to dupe them by saying genocide. I will, say genocide. I will make sure that it's said out loud. And so after he got what he wanted, and then he was very obviously silent on the ethnic Armenians being cleansed, being uprooted from Azerbaijan, Armenians shut down our local freeway to get his attention, but the man was nowhere to be found. Why? Because now he had moved on. He was going for a Senate seat. So there are a lot of people who have soured on Adam Schiff and the legacy. On top of that, you have people, independents, moderate Democrats, parents who are faced with the choice of candidates to replace him. you have Anthony Portantino, who wrote the Parent Silencing Act, SB 596, that criminalized parents who spoke up at school board meetings with a misdemeanor $1,000 fine. That man is running. In addition to him, you have Laura Friedman. She wrote a vaccine mandate for the HPV vaccine that would sidestep any parent. This is for all California schoolgirls. She was recorded saying, yeah, parents have some rights, but parents don't have all the rights. She said this about parents and their children. Finally, you also have the first runner-up from the last election, a non-binary transgender drag queen named Maybe a Girl. His real name is George Pudlow, but he also got the ire of the parents because he invited and instigated an Antifa movement against the Glendale parents who were protesting at the school board about the indoctrination of their kids. And this melee that happened in front of the Glendale school board, that just went, around the world. My friends in the UK were actually asking what the heck is going on. So for a multitude of reasons, not only the tarnished legacy that Adam Schiff has left, but also the sideshow of clowns that have stepped up to replace him. For those reasons, again, there are multiple reasons why the numbers and the undercurrents are in our favor.
You got to win this race, Alex. Good Lord. I mean, the guys you just explained, and the gal, I guess, that's insane. One thing that you said when you were talking about your Armenian heritage and the Armenian community in your district that struck me was you said, well, we're all immigrants here. Well, what is their take on what's going on the southern border? Because I assume that your parents came here legally. You were a legalized natural citizen here. I mean, well, a citizen, I guess. You were born here, correct?
Yeah, I was born here. And actually, so my parents came as refugees from the Middle East. Okay, so they came over here. And then shortly after they came over, Ronald Reagan in 1982 gave amnesty. Back then, there wasn't a good system for immigration. There still isn't a good system for immigration. So one of the things that I've proposed as a law that I would introduce when I go into Congress is a points-based system. I mean, to get into college, for example, right? Colleges want to recruit the best and the brightest, and they have a combination of your GPA, your SAT scores, and your interview score. So countries like Canada have a points-based system. So I think this country should welcome immigrants in orderly fashion. First order of business is secure our southern border, secure all of our other ports of entry, number one. Number two, beef up your ICE presence. There are a lot of people who came in here illegally, and those people need to be identified and deported if they don't pass muster as far as their background. And number three, the points-based immigration system, right? So we should prioritize younger people with skills, job skills. We should prioritize people who have English fluency, who are, like my parents, going to assimilate into this country or going to raise, well-adjusted children. I mean, I say I have 14 cousins. Half of us married non-Armenian people. So we are the model citizens who came here. Our parents came here for the American dream for their kids. So yes, there are a lot of people who came here legally, got their green cards, got their papers, who do not agree with the open southern border, not just from an immigrant standpoint, but also from a domestic safety standpoint, right? These aren't Central Americans coming here. A lot of these are military-aged men coming from the Middle East, right? There are reports of ISIS-aligned coyotes bringing in Uzbeki nationals by way of Turkey. There are some shady characters coming in, and I wouldn't be surprised if sometime in the near future there isn't this coordinated attack, domestically on our soil that is reminiscent of 9/11, all because all these people came through the southern border.
Yeah, I've looked into these Turkish flights. I think it's the flight. There's a infamous flight number, tailwing. I think it's like TW 800. It goes from Istanbul to Bogota, 7 days a week. 7 days a week, completely full. Anyone who can get to Istanbul can fly to Bogota and then come up in one of these caravans. And I mean, the numbers are staggering. The most staggering number to me is the 100,000 Americans that we lose annually now due to the fentanyl. What kind of effects are you seeing from the open border policies in your area? What are your potential constituents concerned about with this regard?
Well, I mean, luckily for us, Glendale, Burbank, it's a bedroom community. I'm not going to say we don't have a problem, but it hasn't yet hit us. But some of the things that I find concerning. So I'm an intensive care physician. I have had more than I care to admit, people coming in with unintentional fentanyl overdoses. They think they're taking one thing and it's just laced with fentanyl. And when I walk by and there are pharmacies, you have over-the-counter Narcan, right? I am a physician. We order Narcan to be given. That is a physician-given medicine, right? We ordered it. Why is it that we have this need for lay people to have access to it? I'm not saying that they shouldn't have access to it, but the problem that was addressed by giving people, lay people, a no prescription access to Narcan, that problem has to be fixed. And that is, we know all of this is coming from China. We know all the precursors are coming from China. The problem is we are powerless to do anything about it because we are so heavily dependent upon Chinese manufacturing that telling them, hey, you guys don't even allow fentanyl on your own soil, stop sending it here, we have no bargaining chips, right? If China suddenly stopped manufacturing our smartphones, our solar panels, our electric car batteries, it would bring this country to its knees. So the fact that we are dependent upon them and then we want them to do us this favor, they're not going to do it. They're not going to do it.
Yeah.
And it's shameful that we're powerless like that.
Well, I would just say this, Alex, we're powerless to do anything about it in large part because, and this is me, not you, because we have a president that is compromised by China. And I believe that with every fiber of my being, that
right.
man is compromised and is not going to do anything. I was watching a recent clip from, what's his name? What's the guy's name that has a big, Joe Rogan. And he was talking about one of the reasons that Trump appeals to people is because he talks like them. And one of the things that Trump said on a stump speech was, I'm going to talk to him. I'm going to say, hey, MFers, knock it off, or we're going to really make you pay. Now, a lot of people cringe at that and they recoil at that. But that's the kind of stiff talk, tough talk that we need to start having with the Chinese Communist Party.
Correct.
Because while it's true they can bring us to our knees, by God, we could bring them to their knees as well. Now, as far as the campaign goes, it's going well for you now. Where can we find out more about your campaign? Because we're about to wrap it up here. So give us the address again, the website, so we can learn more about you and possibly contribute to your cause.
Yes. So the website is alexforca30.com. That's ALEXFORCA30.com. We also have a large presence on Instagram and Twitter. So Instagram is Alex4CA30, and Twitter is my name, Alex Balekian. We also have a longer form podcast called Enough Talk with Alex Balekian, where we take these sound bites and we turn them into 30-minute, 45-minute discussions. We have now 49 days left until the primary election. And when I'm not doing these kinds of interviews, I'm just out there with my team. We're canvassing, making phone calls. Really, the best thing that you can do is help us magnify, amplify our voice. Money is important in getting our voice out there and getting, media ad buys and stuff. So we really would appreciate people out there donating whatever they could. Again, if you want to see Adam Schiff's seat fall into more conservative hands, I am your person. I am the everyday character, the person who is doing this, the anti-politician who is against corruption, who is for term limits, so that we don't get the corrupt Joe Bidens getting up to where they are.
There you go. Alex Balekian, best of luck to you. I look forward to, I'm sure I speak for Hesh too, we look forward to having you back on the show and addressing you as Congressman Balekian. So thank you very much for giving us some time on State of the Nation. And you are watching State of the Nation on TNT, and we'll be back right after this.